Do you believe what you see on the television news? Most Americans do not trust our news media of our freedom and our democracy. Remains the best defense. Now, the key issue is malice. I wish we had a liar, liar, pants on fire award could administer such an award. Do you believe what you see on the television news? Do you believe what you read in the newspapers? Do you believe what you see on the internet? Most Americans do not trust our news media to give us the truth about what is happening around us. Most Americans believe our news media are biased for or against one political party, for or against one candidate or another, one issue or another. And this is something our society must fix. Welcome, Patriots, to this edition of Common Sense for America. I'm your host and commentator, Bruce Rutherford, coming to you from the beautiful Westwood Golf Club in Houston, Texas. It's gorgeous out here. Today, we discuss the free press in America and the prevailing decline in public confidence regarding the Fourth Estate. Everyone agrees that a free press is an essential protection of our freedom and our democracy. It is so important, it's included in the First Amendment of our Constitution. Now, the Pew Research Center's 2025 survey reveals that 77% of Americans say freedom of the press is extremely important or very important to the well-being of our society. Yet, the Reuters Institute for Digital News Reporting shows that only 32% of Americans trust most news most of the time. If you're watching our podcast, please subscribe to this channel and give us your review. If you're watching on YouTube, please like us and give us your rating. Now to the business at hand. When I was a teenager, my brother and I made it a point to watch the nightly news. Walter Cronkite, Chet Huntley, and David Brinkley were our rock stars. They reported the facts, and we trusted them completely. CBS News with Cronkite reached nearly 30 million viewers nightly in the 1970s. Nearly 1 in 4 Americans tuned in to the nightly news every day. Now, what happened between then and now? Today, Pew surveys report that 86% of Americans think our news media are highly influenced by government and political interests. The Knight Foundation's 2020 study found that 68% of Americans say they see too much bias in the reporting of news that is supposed to be objective. Those Americans see this as a major problem. Even more troubling, many Americans say they get completely different facts from one news outlet versus another based on the news outlet's political leaning. How can we trust our news media when almost every day we find some previous report was wrong, only partially reported, a distortion of the facts, or an outright lie? Public opinion is shaped by our news media's reports. We must demand that they be truthful. Now, the Society of Professional Journalists believes that, and I'm quoting now, public enlightenment is the forerunner of justice and the foundation of democracy, end quote. I could not agree more with the SPJ. The SPJ has a very robust code of ethics for journalists to follow. Its 4 major principles are: 1, seek the truth and report it. 2, minimize harm. 3, act independently. 4, be accountable and transparent. Now, if only all journalists followed the SPJ's code of ethics, we wouldn't have a problem. Now, one great example of ethical journalism was the Washington Post coverage of Watergate. Woodward and Bernstein were required by their editor, Ben Bradley, and their publisher, Katharine Graham, to have 3 independent corroborations for every fact printed in their stories. Now, this rigorous standard took 26 months of investigation, but ultimately it protected democracy by exposing corruption at the highest levels of government. How do we get our journalists today to follow the ethical footsteps of Woodward, Bernstein, Bradley, and Graham. Apparently, the incentive to win a Pulitzer Prize is not enough. I wish we had a liar, liar, pants on fire award to embarrass and discredit unethical reporting. I think that would go a long way to bring journalists back to ethical behavior. Maybe Columbia University, who administers the Pulitzer Prize, or the wonderful University of Missouri School of Journalism could administer such an award. We clearly need to revisit our laws governing libel and slander. According to the Media Law Research Center, libel cases going to trial have actually decreased each decade from an average of 24 throughout the 1980s to about 12 and a half since 2000. I think this shows that news organizations need stronger accountability measures for negligent reporting. Libel and slander are written and spoken falsehoods that damage a person's reputation. Truth remains the best defense in any libel or slander case. Privilege is a common defense, either absolute privilege, that's when those in legislative bodies and judicial settings or high-ranking government positions make a statement, they can invoke absolute privilege. Or there's qualified privilege for statements made in good faith about someone with whom you or I have a shared interest or duty. Now, the key issue is malice, which destroys any qualified privilege defense. Absent malice, phrase made famous in the Paul Newman movie, highlights how newspapers could claim no malicious intent while still being negligent in their reporting by failing to corroborate facts independently. We need new laws with real teeth for punishing negligent reporting. We need those laws to demand that journalists corroborate their facts independently, preferably from 3 separate sources, the Watergate standard. Journalists must be held accountable for reporting the truth, but when they do tell the truth, we must protect them unequivocally. Unfortunately, implementing these changes requires a state-by-state approach for print and digital media, since the libel laws fall under state jurisdiction. However, we should at least implement federal changes where the FCC has authority over broadcast media under the Communications Act of 1934. Now, what do you think about freedom of the press and honesty? How do you think we should protect freedom of the press, but still demand honesty and integrity from the Fourth Estate? The path forward requires 3 elements. Those are restored professional standards, legal accountability with real teeth, and engaged citizens like you who demand better accountability from journalists. When Walter Cronkite signed off each night with, "And that's the way it is," Americans believed him because he had earned that trust through rigorous fact-checking and ethical reporting. Please discuss this issue with friends over dinner. Lead the discussion with Socratic questions and get your friends to think carefully about this topic. Tell us what you think and what they think in our comments section. Now, I hope you will join us next time when we call to task the political leadership in Chicago for letting their ideology get in the way of what is best for the people of Chicago. Until then, God bless you and yours, and God bless America.